Somebody. Big dogs, Lenny.
I'm sitting right next to one of the big ones.
This is a VIP meeting.
I'm closer to you than I am him.
All right, everybody, welcome to the September 13th, 2021 redevelopment meeting for the city of Lawrenceburg, Indiana at 4:30 p.m. We have an important announcement that we do need to read tonight for Title VI, Public Involvement Survey, and that says, as a recipient of federal funds and in support of Lawrenceburg's efforts to ensure non-discrimination and equal access to all citizens, the city gathers statistical data regarding participants in city activities. Therefore, we have provided a voluntary Title VI public involvement survey at this meeting. Now, you are not required to complete this survey. However, the form is anonymous and will be used solely for the purpose of monitoring our compliance with Title VI and ADA. And that form is in the back of the room. If you so desire to fill that out, please do. Can we get a roll call, Ms. Brookbank?
Yes. Executive Director Brian Messmore.
Here.
President Richard Richardson.
Present.
Vice President Lenny Fryman.
Present.
Secretary Kevin Schaefer.
Present.
Member Janie Wilson. Member Brian Johnson.
Present.
School Board Member Brian Jansen is absent. And City Attorney Del Welton.
Here.
Thank you. Appreciate it. If we've had time to review the minutes of the previous meeting, I'll take a motion to approve those tonight.
So moved.
We have a motion from Brian. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Lenny. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And do we have any announcements this evening from the board? Any announcements from Mr. Messmore?
Sir.
I do not have any announcements. Ms. Brookbank, can you provide us with our financial report?
As of September 7th, 2021, the balance for redevelopment is $1,802,515.19. And after monies promised to projects, it's $1,607,768.09.
Does anybody have any questions in regard to that? If not, we will move on to new business this evening. I'll give that to Director Messmore and Mr. Mario Todd to discuss 236 East High Street Demo Bid Award. Everybody has been provided with a packet of information from Mr. Todd in regards to this agenda item.
Thank you, Chairman. As you see in front of you, this is the results from the staff from the demo. I believe it was last month, this board did grant a approval for the demo. And I believe the recipient at that time was the low bidder, Mr. McCool. After staff review, we found out Mr. McCool did not complete the form correctly for our staff.
And Mr. Todd, if you could just briefly state specifically how this bidder was non-responsive and/or non-responsible.
Sure. If you look at your graph, you'll see under the demo and trees, the two X's per our spec that was supposed to be broke out individually. He was the only one that did not break it out and gave the total of $18,750.
He had,
And if you go to your first sheet of the addendum, I believe it'd be question number 4, where we state that it does need to be broken out.
Why is that important, Mr. Todd?
As you see back in your exhibits, there are fairly large trees. A couple of trees are actually shared properties with the Conservancy District. Without having the Conservancy District approval at this time, we thought it'd be best to keep it separate.
And Mr. Todd, in your training experience, in your employment with the city of Lawrenceburg and doing many bids and leading projects like this, is it your professional opinion that this bidder is then in fact non-responsive to the parameters set out in the bid request?
Correct.
And is it your opinion that we should reject that bid because of that?
Yes, sir.
And is it further your opinion that we should then move on to the second lowest bidder and award the contract accordingly?
Yes, and that would be Howard Excavating. As you see, it's broke out under the demo, 14,800. Trees at 8,700, with a grand total of $23,500.
Thank you, sir. That's all I have.
Are you requesting two separate motions in regard to it, to disapprove McCool and then to approve the second lowest bidder?
Correct, correct.
Mr. Abbott? Yeah, Councilman Abbott?
This was not planned, trust me, but I've had neighbors complaining down there, that's my district, and they do not want those trees removed. I looked at it, I don't see no reason why we have to even remove those trees. I mean,
Well, the reasons they're going to be removed is per the Corps of Engineers because they're in the levee toe.
there's a lot of trees in the levee toe, but what does that harm in the levee toe? I mean, that's,
Well, right here on, well, if you look on your exhibit, you'll see where the orange, that is actually the drainage system for the levee toe.
I'm not gonna argue about it, I'm just saying that neighbors there, citizens do not want these trees removed, and I think they look great in the long levee, so.
Trust me, they're very mature trees, that's for sure.
So I guess if we could, before we move on to those two votes, Mr. Richardson, it is appropriate to break it out into two votes. Mr. Todd, could you provide a little more background as to why this is necessary? It's not an optional thing, it's something that we have to do, in your
Well,
opinion.
for the Conservancy District, Mr. Seymour contacted us regards to this demo and asked if we would consider removing the trees at the time of demo.
And
The way he pretty
Go
well
ahead.
stated, they'll remove them if we don't remove them.
And we're doing a residential home demolition, and so that we can combine this work, is that correct?
Correct.
And that's why it's before the redevelopment commission, because this is a redevelopment property.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, the one tree is on city property. So, I mean, you could make the motion, I guess, the trees that are on city property, I should say redevelopment property, to be removed. And again, this is the reason we had actually broke these trees out separate.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Massmore, what's your guidance for the board, now that we've heard from Mr. Abbott and Mr. Todd?
Well, it was based on my discussion with Conservancy that those trees, the root systems could have an effect on the integrity of the toe of the levee. And since that house was going to be demoed, it was a good time to address the situation.
Do we get an engineering report or any kind of study from the Lawrenceburg Conservancy District?
No.
I think Conservancy District does have a report from their inspection
And they've
that identifies not just these trees, but other trees that are part of the system.
have they demoed or removed other trees that are similarly situated?
That I can answer.
I have a question. So I understand the trees that are on our property,
Partially.
okay? Now, you say it's in a report? It does exist in a report that the
Corps
Conservancy?
of Engineers does a study or an inspection annually, and I don't know if these particular trees, but they have trees that are in that report to be removed.
Okay. And then, so, but you said Mr. Seymour asked you to have them removed since we were,
Correct. And these will be removed after the house is demoed, just for the access ease of it.
they got money in their budget, though, they can help out and pay for that
I
themselves,
can't answer
right?
to their budget.
Okay. I just feel like that, if they're asking us to remove them, I think that, they ought to share the expense or, pay for it, especially if it's mentioned in one of their reports that you say, that you haven't seen it, but,
Correct.
I mean, I know they have a budget as well, so I know their budget's probably substantially more than the redevelopment commission's.
And I can't answer to.
We don't have to remove these trees, correct? We could take that and deny that portion of the
Yes.
response.
Correct. And again, that's one of the reasons why it's segregated, separated out.
But if we don't vote to take them out, does that mean that they're gonna come out anyways, from what you're
Well,
saying?
from what Mr. Todd is saying, I'd say that's true, that they're probably going to come out anyway, but it wouldn't be at our expense.
Wouldn't be our expense.
Conservancy would.
Not at least the ones that are
All of our
on
expenses.
Conservancy property, the ones that are on our property, they may state the same thing, you know, the city should pay for those if they are going to be removed.
Do we know which ones are on our property? I see there's tree 1, 2, and
It's been-
3.
It's been a while, I'm sorry that we don't have the exact exhibit. I think we had them on the exhibit here. You're probably right, Tony, the largest one there. I think tree number 2 is on our property, and tree number 1,
Tree number 1 and tree number 2.
correct.
Would it behoove us at this point to just say, take a motion to deny McCool, or, you know, defer that bid, and then take Howard Excavation minus the trees at the moment, and then work with the Conservancy District to come up with
If that would
pricing?
be the pleasure, it wouldn't be a problem as far as our office granting that.
Or we could bill them for the trees we take down on their property.
It's an option as well. Does any other board member have comment or are concerned about this? Any comment?
So what we're talking about doing with Howard for just a 14.8 and leave the trees out? Is that what we're saying?
Total for Howard,
Seems pretty clean because it was bid separately.
I mean, not to overly delve the situation, but I would do 3 votes. I would do a vote to, based on what's put in the minutes, to deny the low bidder, because that's important. Then second vote would be to take the low bidder. Third vote would be however you want to handle the trees, whether you want to take down some of them, all of them, you know, none of them. I think you have the discretion to do that, so I would actually do 3 quick votes if you're game for that. Would make the best record.
let's take the first vote then. Can I get a motion to deny the McCool Enterprises claim?
So moved.
We'll disqualify them.
Or disqualify McCool's bid? And we have a motion from Kevin. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Brian. Motion, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Now can we have a motion to accept the bid minus the trees?
Now, hold on one second.
Go ahead.
Quick question on that before we take this motion. So, since they were bid out separately, I guess really doesn't have any effect because the demo was bid separately from the trees, so it's very clean. So Howard still gets the demo portion.
Correct.
So the trees is probably subcontracted out, I'm sure.
Sure.
So, okay. That's what I needed just to clarify.
Gotcha. Do we have a motion to accept the bid from Howard Excavation?
So move.
Motion from Brian. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Kevin. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And now we have the discussion or quick vote regarding the trees. Does the board have a pleasure one way or the other in regards to the trees? We could remove the trees that are definitely the city's and leave the remaining, or we could not remove any of the trees at the moment and work with the Conservancy District to come up with a cooperative plan between the 2 organizations to remove the trees at a later time.
I would support that motion to work with the Conservancy District.
We have a
And-
motion to work with the Conservancy District to come up with pricing options for the tree removal at a later date. Do we
And
have,
evaluate even the necessary,
and
if they
evaluate
have to
the
be
nece-
removed.
and the necessity of removing the trees. Perhaps they could provide a report to us in the
100%.
collaboration process.
Yep.
All right, do we have a second for that motion?
I'll second.
That,
Second from Kevin, all in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Todd,
All right,
appreciate
thank
it.
you.
Thank you, Mario.
If there's no additional new business, we can move on to our old business. Director Messmore and Ms. Brookbank have provided us the Main Street report that is in our packets. Does anybody have any questions regarding that or comment? Mr. Messmore, do you have any comment?
No, we were unable to, we had some folks out of the office down there, so we weren't able to address the discussion about moving some money around, so we'll be working on that this month.
Oh, yes, okay. Any additional comments regarding the Main Street report? If not, we'll move on to an approval of the claims. Do we have a motion to approve the claims that have been provided for us?
So
Committee
moved.
is making a motion. Do we have a second? Second from Brian. All in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Nay. Motion carries. We have comments from the audience. No one? Going once? Going twice? No comment. Okay. We'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Motion from Lenny. Do we have a second?
Aye.
Second from
Yes.
Kevin. All in
Second.
favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, everybody.
I like
I like-
it, I like it when it's over.
He's the all-time adjourner. Yep.
Oh, I might
Set up.
move over one.
What was this?